Clare and her younger sister Jenna had never gotten along, not even when they were kids. Jenna always copied whatever Clare did. If Clare joined a new class, Jenna joined it the next day. If Clare wore a red sweater, Jenna would wear the same, then rip Clare's just so she couldn't have it. "Why are you doing this?" Clare asked once. Jenna just smiled and said, "Because you don't deserve nice things." In high school things got worse. Jenna flirted with Clare's first boyfriend, Matt, and ended up in bed with him. Clare had cried for days. "He wasn't even your type," she shouted. Jenna shrugged. "I wanted to see if I could take him." That was the day Clare cut ties. They didn't speak again, not at birthdays, not at weddings, not even when their parents begged them to try. Where are you watching from today? Kindly hit like, comment and subscribe to this channel for more. Years passed. Clare moved to another city, married Ryan and built a peaceful life. Then one evening she shared big news online. "Baby coming March 10th, she posted, her hands cradling her belly in a glowing photo. Friends and family flooded the comments with joy. Clare felt proud. But 8 weeks later Jenna posted her own announcement. Same pose, same smile, nearly the same wording. "Baby coming May 5th. She didn't mention Clare once. Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Do you think she's copying you again?" Clare sighed. "Honestly, I don't even care. Let her do what she wants." They weren't invited to Jenna's baby shower and Jenna didn't come to theirs either. "Let's keep it that way," Clare told Ryan. But then 1 week after baby Leo was born, her phone rang. A number she didn't recognize. "Hello." Clare answered, rocking baby Leo in her arms. At first there was just breathing. Then came the scream. "You evil witch." It was Jenna. "You stole my baby name. You knew I wanted to name my son Leo since we were kids." Clare pulled the phone away from her ear. "You always said you liked the name Max," she replied, confused. "I chose Leo years ago." Jenna didn't care. "You planned this. You knew I was pregnant and you stole it just to hurt me." Clare tried to stay calm. "Jenna, we haven't talked in 10 years. How would I even know?" But Jenna wasn't listening. She hung up and immediately called their mom, demanding she take her side. Clare sat frozen, still holding her baby. "She's completely lost it," she whispered to Ryan. Their mom Linda tried to stay out of it. "I love you both," she told Jenna. "I'm not picking sides." That only made things worse. By the end of the day, Jenna posted a long rant on Facebook titled, "When Your Own Blood Steals Your Baby's Identity." She didn't say Clare's name, but tagged every family member they had. Clare read the whole thing in disbelief. "She's trying to start a war," Ryan said. "Don't give her what she wants." Clare nodded and stayed silent. But the silence made Jenna even angrier. That night, Clare's phone buzzed non-stop. Messages filled with insults, accusations and threats. "She said she's coming here," Clare told Ryan in a shaky voice. "We need to protect Leo." Ryan's jaw tightened. "Start saving every message. We need proof." By the second night, after dozens of voicemails and over 300 texts, Clare began recording every call. "This could turn into something dangerous," she told Ryan. Then at 3:11 a.m., a blocked number rang. Clare answered just in case. The voice on the line was quiet, strange. "If I can't name my baby Leo," Jenna said slowly, "then maybe I shouldn't have a baby at all." Clare froze. "What are you saying?" she whispered. "You killed him," Jenna said coldly. "You stole his soul, his identity. And now I might lose him. Or maybe I'll make sure I do." Clare could hardly breathe. Jenna described the ways she'd hurt herself and the baby, and blamed it all on Clare. 7 full minutes of horror, captured on Ryan's phone. When the call ended, Clare didn't cry. She turned to her husband and said, "We need to stop her. Tomorrow." The next morning, Clare sat at the kitchen table staring at her phone. "Are you sure about this?" Ryan asked. She nodded slowly. "We need to make her believe she's won." Clare took a deep breath and called Jenna. "You can have the name Leo," she said in a quiet voice. "I didn't mean to hurt you. A baby's life is more important than a name." Jenna screamed with laughter on the other end. "I knew it. You finally admit it. You're a copycat and a loser." Clare forced herself to sound defeated. "Whatever you need to believe," she said. Jenna kept gloating. "I'm going to tell everyone how you backed down." After hanging up, Clare turned to Ryan. "Now we wait," she said calmly. "Let her get cocky. Jenna took the bait immediately. Within days she posted ultrasound pictures with "Baby Leo" written in bold blue letters. She tagged Clare in every post, mocking her with captions like, "Imitation is the highest form of flattery." Family members started calling Clare, confused by the sudden change. "Did you give up on the name?" Aunt Karen asked. "It's complicated," Clare replied. "Trust me." Ryan watched the chaos unfold. "It's working," he said. "She's exposing herself." Clare nodded, though it wasn't easy. "I just want to keep Leo safe," she whispered. As the due date neared, Jenna's posts grew more arrogant. She told friends that Clare had admitted to being jealous and unoriginal. Clare didn't respond once. But she was quietly sharing the recording with the right people: social services, the hospital, and legal advisors. 4 weeks later, Clare's mom called in a panic. "Jenna just gave birth," Linda said, her voice shaking. "But something's happening. There are police and social workers here." Clare didn't act surprised. "They're there because of the recording," she told Ryan calmly. At the hospital, 2 social workers and 3 security guards walked into Jenna's room. "We're here for a welfare check," one of them said gently. Jenna burst out laughing. "Is this a joke?" But when they played the audio recording, everything changed. "You can't be serious," Jenna said, her smile fading. The nurses stepped in, concerned by how tightly she clutched the newborn. "Let go of the baby, please," one of them said. Jenna refused. Jenna's grip tightened. "He's mine," she screamed. The baby's face started turning red and a nurse gasped. "She's holding him too hard, he can't breathe." That's when Jenna snapped. She grabbed the metal 4-pole and swung it wildly. Blood from her delivery still ran down her legs as she backed into a corner, hurling equipment at anyone who moved. "You all did this," she shrieked. "Clare made me crazy." Security rushed forward. A psychiatrist stepped into the room, speaking calmly. "Jenna, your baby needs help. Please let us check him." But Jenna wasn't listening. She was sweating, trembling, eyes wide like a trapped animal. She kept repeating the same thing. "She stole Leo. She made me say those things. It's all her fault." Clare drove to the hospital against Ryan's advice. "You shouldn't go there," he warned. But Clare needed to see this through. As soon as she walked through the hospital doors, she heard screaming down the hall. "She's still going?" Clare whispered. A nurse stopped her. "Are you family?" Clare nodded. "I'm her sister." The nurse exchanged a look with a security guard. "Follow me," he said. They took her to the psychiatric ward. Through a small window, Clare saw Jenna curled up behind an overturned bed, rocking her baby and mumbling. "She made me say those things. She knows what she did." The baby's cry was faint. "She's holding him too tight again," a nurse whispered. Clare clenched her jaw. "Open the door," she said. As soon as Clare stepped inside the room, Jenna's head snapped up. Her eyes blazed with fury. "Tell them what you did in Florida," she shouted. Clare froze. "Florida?" she repeated. "What are you talking about? I haven't been to Florida in years." Jenna laughed bitterly. "You think I'm crazy? You came to my house on October 15th. You told me you were naming your baby Leo just to hurt me." Clare's blood turned cold. "October 15th?" she asked slowly. That was the day she'd posted her pregnancy announcement. "I never visited you," she said. Their mother stepped into the room then, her face pale. "Clare," she said softly. "Are you sure? Because I have a photo." Linda held out her phone. On the screen was a photo of Clare standing in front of Jenna's door, very clearly pregnant. The date stamp was October 15th. Clare's knees went weak. "That can't be real," she whispered. "I didn't go there. I stayed home all day." Jenna began laughing again, but it wasn't joyful. It was sharp and broken. "You told me Dad would have loved your baby more. That you won. That I lost everything." Clare shook her head. "I never said that. I would never say that." But something inside her was shifting. Doubt crept in. Her memory of that day was solid, until it suddenly wasn't. "We need to talk," the hospital psychiatrist said. Alone. In the small consultation room, Clare's hands trembled. The psychiatrist, Dr. Simmons, sat calmly across from her. "Clare," she said gently, "have you had any memory issues during your pregnancy?" Clare hesitated. "I mean, maybe. I've felt foggy. But that's normal, right?" Dr. Simmons opened a file. You came here in November, she said. You told me you were worried about missing time. You described blackouts. Clare's mouth dropped open. I don't remember that at all. Dr. Simmons turned the page. You were afraid you had done something you couldn't explain. You mentioned a visit to your sister. Does any of that sound familiar now? Clare pressed her hand to her forehead. No. I swear it doesn't. But what if I did go? Later that night, Clare sat on the living room floor with her laptop and phone. Ryan knelt beside her, watching as she pulled up every possible record she could find. Look at this, she said, her voice shaky. My GPS history shows I was in Jenna's neighborhood on October 15th. But I swear I never left the house. Ryan looked confused. Could your phone have been hacked? Clare opened her email drafts. There she found unsent messages from October. Messages to Jenna. One read, I just wanted to fix things before the baby came. Another said, I'm sorry about what I said. Clare blinked. I didn't write these. I don't even remember opening these drafts. Ryan squeezed her hand. Clare, what's going on? Desperate for answers, Clare went out to the garage and rummaged through old boxes. Behind a pile of unused baby blankets, she found a notebook labeled Pregnancy Journal. She flipped through the pages. The early entries were sweet and excited. But halfway through October the handwriting changed. It grew rushed, angry. One entry read, She always took everything. This time I take something back. Another said, Dad would have been proud of me for standing up to her. Clare gasped. I don't remember writing any of this. At the very end an entry dated October 30th read, Visited her again. Left the letter. Ryan looked over her shoulder. What letter? Clare just shook her head. I don't know. The next day Clare checked her doorbell camera history. Every day was accounted for, except October 15th. It's missing, she whispered. The entire day is gone from the archive. Ryan checked the settings. Someone deleted it using your login. Clare's face went pale. I didn't delete anything. Then her phone buzzed. A message from her cousin. Why didn't you tell me you visited Jenna in October? Mom said you were yelling at her in the driveway. Clare stared at the screen. I never yelled at her, she muttered. I was never there. Her voice trailed off as doubt replaced certainty. What if her mind had hidden something too painful to remember? Later that afternoon, Clare received an email from Jenna's husband. It included doorbell footage Jenna had saved to her cloud account. I thought you might want to see this, he wrote. The video showed Clare, visibly pregnant, banging on Jenna's door on October 28th. Her voice was raised but the words weren't clear. In another clip she stood motionless, staring at the peephole for over 3 minutes. What was I doing? Clare whispered. Ryan put his arm around her. This isn't you. Something's wrong. Clare opened her work calendar. On October 28th she'd been in a team meeting with 12 witnesses. How could I be in 2 places at once? She asked out loud. Trying to make sense of everything, Clare visited her OB-GYN. Dr. Patel, she said, I think I've been having blackouts. Memory gaps. Could it be something with the pregnancy? Dr. Patel flipped through her chart. Clare, you already talked to me about this. In November. You came in crying saying you were scared you'd done something bad. I referred you to a neurologist. Clare's face went blank. I don't remember. Dr. Patel handed her a copy of the referral. You saw Dr. Evans on November 14th. At home, Clare called the neurologist's office. The receptionist confirmed her appointment had lasted 90 minutes. The report described stress-induced dissociation. Symptoms suggest a trauma trigger, it read. Clare dropped the papers in her lap, heart pounding. That night, Clare pulled out every bit of evidence she could find. Photos, texts, receipts, journals. A disturbing picture formed. There's too much proof, she told Ryan. I was there. I did say things. I just don't remember. Ryan looked heartbroken. Clare, did something happen in October that could have triggered this? Clare frowned, then slowly turned toward him. October 15th, she whispered. That was the day my dad died. 20 years ago. Ryan stared at her. You think that's the trigger? Clare nodded. And that was also the day I announced the pregnancy. The same day Jenna lost hers. The horror of it began to set in. She was already grieving. And I told the world I was naming my baby Leo. Clare checked her call history. Her mother had called her at 11:47 p.m. on October 14th. The call lasted 43 minutes. She didn't remember it. But the next search in her browser history was at 12:23 a.m., Leo name meaning. The timing matched. "Oh my God," she whispered. She told me Jenna lost her baby and then I picked the same name." Ryan sat down beside her, stunned. "Clare, you didn't do this on purpose." But Clare was shaking now. "Did I? What if some part of me did? What if all of this happened because I wanted to win?" She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "What if I really am the villain in her story?" Clare needed answers. She drove to Jenna's neighborhood hoping for a face-to-face talk. But Jenna refused to open the door. Instead, her husband, Ben, met Clare at a nearby coffee shop. "She's not ready to see you," he said. "But I need you to hear this." He pulled out his phone and played a doorbell recording from October 15th. Clare's voice filled the space. "I've always loved the name Leo. I'm going to use it. You can't stop me." Clare's mouth fell open. "That doesn't even sound like me." Ben shook his head. "You were calm. Too calm." It scared her. Clare covered her face with her hands. "I don't remember any of this." Back home, Clare dug through her phone's deleted messages. A few had survived. One text to her husband read, "Visited Jenna. It went bad. I think I made it worse." Ryan frowned when he read it. "I never got this," he said. "It's like it was never sent." Clare sat on the edge of the bed, feeling dizzy. What if I was acting like someone else? That night, her best friend, Molly, finally admitted something. "Clare, you called me the night your mom told you about Jenna's loss. You were crying. You begged me to drive you to her house. You said you had to make things right." Clare blinked. You drove me." Molly nodded. "You were in a trance. You just kept saying, 'She can't have everything.' Over and over." Molly explained that Clare had stayed inside Jenna's house for 2 full hours. "You came out calm, almost peaceful," she said. "I asked what happened. You told me everything was fine." Clare couldn't speak. Her mind raced with fear and confusion. She didn't remember the drive. She didn't remember the visit. But all the pieces were there. The footage. The journal. The texts. "I wasn't myself," she whispered. Something in me snapped. Ryan sat beside her. "This isn't your fault. You were overwhelmed. You dissociated. It happens." But Clare shook her head. "It is my fault. I made her believe I was doing this on purpose." The next therapy session was intense. Clare's therapist, Dr. Simmons, listened carefully as Clare explained what she now knew. "It sounds like your pregnancy triggered unresolved trauma," she said. "Your blackout may have been a dissociative episode caused by stress, grief, and years of suppressed pain." Clare wiped her eyes. "I think I wanted to hurt her. Even if I didn't mean to. Somewhere inside I wanted to win." Dr. Simmons paused. "Clare, do you know where the name Leo comes from?" Clare frowned. "No, not really." Dr. Simmons nodded. "It's short for Leonard or sometimes Leopold. But in your case, could it be short for Leonard or Alexander?" Clare's breath caught. "Alexander. That was Dad's name." Clare sat frozen. "Dad always said he'd name a son after himself if he had one," she whispered. "We both knew that." She picked up her phone and opened her baby name notes. Sure enough, she'd once written, "If it's a boy, name him Leo, short for Alexander." Her hands trembled. We weren't just fighting over a name. We were fighting over him. She remembered her father's cold eyes, the way he used to call her and Jenna, his disappointments. She'd spent her whole life trying to prove she was worthy. "We were both trying to give him the son he always wanted," she said out loud. Ryan wrapped his arms around her. "That's not your job anymore, Clare. That's not who you are." Ben, Jenna's husband, reached out again. He shared pages from Jenna's journal, written during October. Some entries were furious. "She came here to destroy me." Others were confused. "Why can't I remember what happened after she left?" One entry mentioned bruises on her arms that she didn't remember getting. Clare read them in silence, her heart breaking. Jenna had been spiraling too. Both of them had. Clare called her mom. "We need to talk about Dad," she said. Her mother hesitated. I thought forgetting him was the best way to protect you. Clare shook her head. It wasn't. We never forgot. We carried him into our motherhood. That night Clare had a nightmare. She was standing in a room watching her father hold a baby. He looked at her and Jenna, then turned away without a word. She woke up in tears. When she told Ryan, he sat in silence for a long time. Then he confessed something. I've had the same dream. You and Jenna standing on opposite sides. And your dad just walks away. Clare felt a chill. What if we've both been trying to bring him back through our babies? Ryan nodded. And now you both have sons. Maybe now it's time to let him go. Clare didn't respond, but deep down she knew he was right. Things got worse before they got better. Child Protective Services opened an investigation after hearing the hospital recording. Both families were questioned. A social worker asked Clare directly, "Have you ever feared harming your child?" She was horrified. "Never. I love him more than anything." But the evaluation wasn't just about her. Jenna's mental state had raised red flags. The court ordered temporary custody arrangements. Clare and Jenna's sons were placed with their fathers while both women underwent trauma therapy. This isn't punishment, the judge said. It's protection. For everyone involved. Clare sat in the courtroom next to her sister for the first time in 20 years. They didn't speak. But neither of them walked away. Group therapy was uncomfortable at first. Clare and Jenna were placed in the same circle of trauma survivors. Most sessions were silent. But one woman approached them afterward. "I had a sister like you too," she said quietly. "We fought over our father's love until the day she died." Clare's stomach twisted. The woman added, "Don't let that happen to you." At the next session Clare broke the silence. "We weren't fighting over names," she said, eyes locked on Jenna. "We were fighting over who mattered more to him." Jenna didn't cry. She just nodded once. "I know," she said. "I remember how he used to look at us. Like we weren't enough." That night Clare opened her therapy journal. She flipped to the last page and wrote, "It's not about the name. It never was." She thought of her son, sleeping peacefully in his crib. Of Jenna's baby, still too young to know what he'd been born into. And then she made a decision. At their next session she turned to Jenna and said, "I think we should change their names." Jenna flinched. "You want to erase them?" Clare shook her head. "No. I want to free them. From all of this." Jenna stared down at her hands. "Then he wins," she whispered. Clare reached out. "No. He doesn't. Not if we stop carrying his ghost." Took time, but the idea began to grow. The next week Jenna sent Clare a message. "Maybe you're right. Maybe we give them names that mean something new." They agreed not to tell each other what they'd choose. At the courthouse each filled out the name change paperwork separately. When the clerk handed them the final documents, they looked at each other's forms. Jenna had named her son Jonah, which meant peace. Clare had chosen Callum, which meant dove. They both smiled, softly, silently, acknowledging what this moment meant. Not a reunion. Not forgiveness. But a beginning. Something new. 6 months later custody was restored. With it came conditions. Weekly therapy sessions, parental check-ins, and limited contact between the sisters. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress. The first time Clare and Jenna took the boys to the same park, they didn't sit together. Instead they chose benches on opposite sides of the sandbox, quietly watching Jonah and Callum play. "They don't know any of it," Clare whispered to herself. "And they never will." The boys laughed together, tossing sand and squealing, building castles without knowing they were born from a battlefield. And that was enough. A few months later they started meeting at a diner halfway between their homes. Not sitting together, just nearby, always in booths back to back. The waitress eventually asked if they knew each other. Jenna answered first. "We used to." Clare didn't correct her. A few months later they started meeting at a diner halfway between their homes. Not sitting together, just nearby, always in booths back to back. The waitress eventually asked if they knew each other. Jenna answered first. "We used to." Clare didn't correct her. It was the truth. They were no longer sisters the way they once had been, but they were something else now. Survivors of the same war. Each raising a boy free from the shadow that nearly swallowed them whole. Each learning how to exist without tearing the other apart. It was awkward, quiet, and strangely comforting.